Hello, fellow fanatics. Welcome to another episode of the Customizing Corner, where we focus on techniques regarding customizing your action figures and minifigures. I am your host and artisan, Armothe, and today we are going to show you how to customize some miniature weapons. These are BrickForge weapons, and as with most customizers, sometimes a warhammer is just not enough, and we want to turn it into a long-handled maul, maybe for a larger figure or for a beast. Maybe we want a shorter trident or a long-handled spear of some sort, or a glaive, if you will. And so we are going to chop these up, and we are going to use the pin and glue method to secure the parts together and hopefully create something a bit more original. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with one weapon, and I really like the idea of giving the warhammer a much longer handle, maybe for an ogre to use. So we're going to take the X-Acto knife and we're going to cut it right below the very first, I'm not sure what we would call it, almost like a handguard detail, where the ring is just a little bit wider than the 3.175 grip area. And right now I'm just putting a little bit of a notch into all four sides, and it just came off, and that's great. We really want a flush end, and you can see there's a little bit of white residue on there just from the stress marks. So we're going to shave that off because we want it nice and flat and flush, where it will meet the other object that has been cut. That looks pretty flat. So we're going to give this a really cool handle. So we're going to use this reddish-brown tribal spear, and we're going to cut the tip off that spear and use the handle for the warhammer. So let's go ahead and lop this off here. And again, kind of work that cut from both sides. It is ABS plastic, it is solid, so it's going to give you a little bit of trouble. And then sometimes you can kind of bend it from both directions, and it just snaps right off. Same thing, we're going to kind of trim those edges here, get some of that excess plastic off. That's alright, I'm not too happy with it. I am going to take a sanding bit from my rotary tool and sand off some of the burrs and the rough edges. And it's pretty close. I like to be as precise as possible, just because, you know, two flush edges coming together are going to make the weapon a bit more seamless. Otherwise, we're going to have to kind of rely on the adhesive to fill in those gaps. But let's stick with this for now. I think it's acceptable. And we have both our parts, and they'll basically fit together like this. And so next, we're going to drill the holes for our pin. And with me, as always, is my best friend, Proxxon Dremel tool. So we're going to hold it very carefully after I make sure it's plugged in, of course, and that I'm not stepping on the cord. And we're going to go ahead and drill the first hole. And I just started a little pilot hole here, and it's pretty center, so we're looking pretty good. And I'll finish drilling that out in a minute. And we're going to drill a hole on the handle. And again, I'm only drilling a pilot hole because, in all honesty, I have to make sure that this bit goes in straight and I'm going to have to hold it at a bit of a different angle, which means those of you viewing are not going to be able to actually see it. It's probably going to end up off camera just because I need a little bit more workspace to get that taken care of. So I will be back in just a second with the fully drilled holes, and we'll work on our pinning. All right, so here we have the two cuts, the two holes drilled out, one in the Warhammer head, and the other one I kind of goofed. I drilled through the side of the BrickForge piece here, and so I had to substitute with the dark brown shepherd crook, which I happen to have on hand. So we're going to use that one anyway. It is very delicate process to drill a straight hole into this handle with this size bit and not come out one of the sides. If you have a drill press, you can use one of those. They do make smaller drill presses specifically for rotary tools. I have a Dremel brand one, but I did not set it up for this demonstration. As you can see, the thumbtack fits in there very nicely. So we're going to go ahead and use some Blue Fix and secure one side of the thumbtack, cut off the push pin section, and then we will connect the Warhammer to the other side and see what the final product looks like. All right, here's the Blue Fix. Again, we're going to take the cap off, and we're just going to squeeze a little bit of the adhesive inside that hole. We're going to put the tack down in there, and we're going to light it up using the UV light. Now, it is okay to use super glue in this instance, and it is possible that because the glue and the pin part of the push pin are so far down in this handle that only the surface part of the glue is going to be cured, and it's possible it could be weaker because of that. But we're going to experiment, and we're going to see if this works. It usually only takes a few seconds. We'll see if it's in there. No, it's still pretty loose. So I'm going to try and change my technique here. And this is going to be an instance where Blue Fix is not the correct solution. But your traditional super glue or crazy glue is going to work a little bit better. So let's go ahead and dab a little bit of the crazy glue or the super glue onto the entrance of the hole. There's a bit. And then we'll go ahead and seat the push pin in there. And that's going to work a little bit better. And as a matter of fact, we're going to just dab some of that excess glue off. And just using another part to kind of flatten it out, smooth it out is probably the answer. So it's going to take a little bit of time to dry, and I'm going to use that time to just kind of remove some of the excess super glue that's connecting the push pin here, because we really want to keep that flush area. So I'll be back in just a second. All right, so I went ahead and pinned them together, and we kind of created a really large Warhammer maul. I used regular super glue, which means there's going to be a little bit of residue to clean up. I tend to just use an X-Acto knife to scrape that. Just kind of shuffle it off just like that. And it can be a little messy, but once you get it cleaned up, it looks really good. As you can see, I've cut up a few more bits here, and I'm going to go ahead and put some of those together. Now, as I'm working on some of these other pieces, I just want to show you a little bit of a trick here. Sometimes it's really hard to get the drill bit to center up on a flat surface like this. So I am going to take the X-Acto knife, and I'm going to get the point as center as possible on the radius, and I'm just going to spin it. And you're going to see it's going to start eating through the plastic and creating a little bit of a pilot hole. And your drill will be able to sit in there perfectly. And you know what? If you don't get them perfectly straight and perfectly center, it's not the end of the world. These are customs. They look really good in the hands of your miniature figures. And just like a classic car, it can look really good from 25 feet away, but the minute you get real close or step inside, you're going to start noticing some of the imperfections, and that's true of customs too. But overall, this is just a great way to transform some pieces that you can get for usually $1 or under into something more magnificent for your heroes. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these up and pin them together, and I'll show you the final product. All right, I just finished up. Let's have a bit of a closer look here. I finished my 5 custom weapons, starting on the left with the long-handled battle axe. Maybe that's good for a minotaur. Long-handed warhammer maul. A short-handed bludgeoning device. I love the way that turned out. A woodland spear made with the help of the BrickForge wizard staff, and a long-handled khopesh or glaive, great for guards or sentinels. These turned out outstanding, and I really hope this video helps to convince you guys that you can do this too, to make some really cool custom weapons, whether it's just to change the shape or maybe add a little bit of color. If there are any other techniques or customizations that you'd like to see in my videos, please comment below. And take the time to give it a like too, because I'd like more and more people to see this. Minifig customization and action figure customization are passions of mine, and I'm guessing they are yours too since you're watching this video. So help promote the hobby, and send this video to as many friends as you can. I will see you guys next time.